At Anfield, so much at stake. Liverpool have their Champions League dreams. Opponent City focused on their title defence.
After falling apart in Europe, playing from the heart, Arsene Wenger wants Arsenal to use their heads and prevent a repeat against Everton.
And Louis van Gaal's in the spotlight as Manchester United's topsy-turvy campaign continues at home to Sunderland.
Liverpool and Manchester City. Two Premier League forces, the champions and runners-up from last season's stunning title race. But success only adds to the weight of expectation. City's defence began with a stutter, while Liverpool, lighter up front without Suarez, lost 3 of their first 5 in the league. 11 wins in 13 began to tip the scales for City, loading the pressure on Chelsea, their lead cut to 3. But for Rodgers' Reds, nothing to lift the mood. Way off the pace, their aspirations unravelling. More City slips left the champions unbalanced, falling 7 points adrift before last week's win put them back in touch. In the meantime, Liverpool have rediscovered their equilibrium, building an unbeaten league run since December, now hot on the heels of the top 4. Whether it's City's title prospects or the Reds' chances of Champions League football, for both, there's much in the balance.
Our biggest target is to get in that top 4, as we've said since day one of this season, really. And at one point, even that was, quite far away. So that's still our main focus. Obviously, we'll do everything we can to get the 3 points.
It will be a very, very tough game, and we know that. It will be intense, but to win the title you have to face games like this. To win the league we need to win these kind of games, and if we can do that, the team will also feel good. Liverpool are in a very good place at the moment, but we must win these types of games if we're to get to the title. We have the weapons to beat them.
Key to the Reds' renaissance has been the form of their defence. 5 clean sheets in 6, the foundation of the recent good run, which means since the turn of the year no side has taken more Premier League points. Thursday's Europa League exit in Turkey, in a match which went the distance, was physically far from ideal preparation for this next challenge, but shouldn't affect the side's growing confidence that they're on course for a top 4 finish.
I think the clean sheets, says it all, really. It's a great run for the team from that point of view. At the moment, it's just a great feeling to be back right in the mix in terms of the hunt for the top 4. And I think if we can keep this run of sort of, keep picking up the points we have been and this momentum we've been building since the turn of the year, then I think come the end of the season we'll be there or thereabouts.
Former Liverpool striker Luis Suarez haunted Manuel Pellegrini midweek, scoring twice in Barcelona's 2-1 win at the Etihad, causing severe damage to the club's hopes of Champions League progress. That makes their title defence all the more important, and with table toppers Chelsea in League Cup final action, City must seize the chance to cut their 5-point lead.
The next match is against Liverpool. The Champions League chapter's now fully closed and we need to stay focused on the Premier League and put in a good performance on Sunday. It's a game that's very important for us.
In the past, in this fixture, results have stacked up in Liverpool's favour. From 17 Premier League encounters at Anfield, City have emerged triumphant only once, and that was back in 2003. If Pellegrini can finally buck the trend, it will add some serious weight to his conviction that the champions do have what it takes to leave Liverpool lagging well behind, to overhaul Chelsea and retain their crown.
Efficient and effective, Arsenal have climbed to 3rd with 15 points from a possible 18. A quiet assault on the top 4, and why not? Qualifying for the Champions League is what they do. And yet Arsene Wenger's men go into the meeting with Everton this weekend, reeling from a chastening night in Europe. A favourable draw against Monaco and an easy passage to the last 8 was predicted.
What happened last night to Arsenal?
After managing only 4 Champions League goals previously this season, they scored 3 times against Arsenal It was really bad defending at times, and, you know, it was a really poor performance, and it looks like they will be out now.
I think there's big problems there now. If they're not going to get past this last 16, getting into the top 4 is not guaranteed, and I think that's when the problems will start.
What is important now is to respond to that disappointment in a strong way on Sunday afternoon. That's all we can do. It's a different competition. We are back in the top 3 in the Premier League, and we have an opportunity to stabilise this position, and we want to take it.
So the manager will be hoping that no hangover from that disappointment mars the fine domestic form. As this season's European run is likely to come to an end, his attentions turn to qualification for next year's competition. In the Premier League, Wenger's men have found greater defensive solidity, conceding 4 goals in their last 6 matches. He may, though, give Gabriel Paulista a first start after branding the defending suicidal on Wednesday.
We have to rotate a little bit because we're Sunday, Wednesday, and will be certainly some changes. We are on a strong run. We want to finish the season in a strong way and keep in this competition as well.
Last season, Everton pushed Arsenal all the way in the race for 4th and the Champions League. This year, it's a very different story. Roberto Martinez's team haven't lived up to their promise. They've picked up just 1 win in their last 10 league matches and are down in 12th, having dropped 17 points from winning positions this season.
I'm delighted that we've been able to be in those winning positions, if you want. I think the next step is to make sure that we can maintain it. And it shows you there's small margins of where we are in the league now and where we could have been. We know that we've got a real difficult task in front of us, but in the same manner, after our result at the weekend, we're desperate to perform well and go for a good result.
Everton were also in midweek action, progressing to the last 16 of the Europa League. But that doesn't necessarily bode well. They failed to win 5 of 7 games following European competition this season. So a trip to the Emirates isn't the most attractive proposition, especially for a team that's only managed 3 away league victories this campaign.
First and foremost, they got incredible experience in these sort of games. It is true that an extra 24 hours in terms of recovery makes a big difference, and all we need to make sure is that we are fully fit and refreshed and looking forward to what's going to be a really exciting game if you go by the last 3 games that we played.
The history of this fixture only adds to the impression that Martinez's men would be hard-pressed to find winning league form at the Emirates. Everton have only won away at Arsenal once since 1987. If the Gunners can leave their Euro misery behind and the Merseysiders fail to be inspired by their midweek success, everything points to more smiles for the home team.
So with Chelsea stepping out at Wembley, their advantage could be reduced to just 2 points. Arsenal are up to 3rd as the top 4 race intensifies. 5 clubs currently in contention behind the leading pair. Tim Sherwood's debut league defeat to Stoke saw Aston Villa drop to 19th, ahead of Leicester, who have a blank weekend, as do QPR, which may mean the R's drop back into the bottom 3.
Tony Pulis was disappointed with West Brom's showing in the goalless draw at Sunderland. Still, a point from a poor performance isn't to be sniffed at in the fight for survival. Pulis needs his side, beaten just once in 6 league outings, to maintain momentum through the remaining 12 matches. They face Liverpool, United, Chelsea and Arsenal in their final 5 fixtures.
I don't think it's about a points tally at the moment. You just got to focus on the game ahead, and our game is Southampton. And everything now, from now until that game is finished, will be focused on that, and irrespective of what other clubs are doing, what other teams are doing, we have to try and get as many wins as we can.
Southampton's top 4 hopes have taken a real hammering. The Saints have earned just 4 points from a possible 12, have dropped to 5th, and now have Liverpool and Spurs hot on their heels. Manager Ronald Koeman's called for more cutting edge. His side have netted just once in the past 4 games, and top scorer Graziano Pelle's last league goal came before Christmas.
Now to be more effective, I think that's maybe the question now at the moment, that we are not effective enough to score and to win games, but total feel of the team, I'm happy.
In the head-to-head, these two have matched each other. They've met 9 times in the Premier League with 3 wins apiece and 3 draws. Both are battling for points, albeit for different reasons. This is a tough match to call.
Having watched his side surrender a 2-goal lead with 10 minutes to play, Sam Allardyce unsurprisingly saw the draw at Tottenham as 2 points dropped rather than 1 gained. The third successive match West Ham have shared the points, taking their winless run to 5 in all competitions. With Carlton Cole joining Andy Carroll on the injury list, Brazilian striker Nene could make his debut in the matchday squad.
What we've achieved recently, particularly in the last 3 games, has been a magnificent in terms of performance, but we sit with 3 points instead of 7. You know, that leaves us very disappointed. So can we turn the performance into a victory on Saturday is very, very important to us.
Even though they lost at home to Arsenal, Alan Pardew felt that was Crystal Palace's best performance since he took charge in early January. Striker Marouane Chamakh missed out with a hamstring injury and remains a concern ahead of trips to 2 of Pardew's former employers. There's a visit to Southampton looming after the shorter cross-London journey to Upton Park.
I think we've trained well this week. We're looking forward to West Ham. It's a big game for both teams. Probably both need a win in the short term. So both teams will be very focused on victory.
These two met in very different circumstances at the start of a campaign. The first home game for a Palace side still reeling from Tony Pulis's departure saw the Hammers head off with the points. But now the Eagles are more settled, they should provide sterner opposition.
The EA Sports Player Performance Index is the only official Barclays Premier League player rating system. Each week, we search through the statistics to bring you the best 11 players from the previous round, based on their overall contribution. In goal, Liverpool's Simon Mignolet. After losing his place earlier this season, the Belgian has fought back to restore his reputation, and his latest clean sheet came at Southampton. In defence, Ben Mee was Burnley's hero as his late goal rescued an unlikely point at Stamford Bridge. That memorable strike was his second of the season. But Hull's Paul McShane was the highest scoring defender. The Irishman was at the heart of the Tigers' crucial win over fellow strugglers QPR. Swansea completed a league double over Manchester United, with Ki Sung-young netting at the Liberty, as at Old Trafford. So he's in our midfield. But Manchester City's David Silva picked up more points, 2 goals and an assist in City's 5-0 demolition of Newcastle at the Etihad. Up front, Olivier Giroud, who struck what turned out to be Arsenal's winner in the London derby against Crystal Palace. That was his 8th in the Premier League this season and 50th overall for the Gunners. Still to come, new man, same old story. Tim Sherwood's Aston Villa debut ended in disappointment. Next up, a trip to St James's Park.
Arsenal, Everton, the Premier League, live and exclusive on Sunday on beIN Sports 11.
Manchester United hit the front in South Wales. Swansea City react in the best possible way. A moment to bring the house down. For the first time in their history, history. They have done the double over Manchester United.
Manchester United's defeat to Swansea raised some complex questions. Had their recent good run papered over the cracks of an inconsistent campaign? And is Louis van Gaal turning a blind eye to his team's weaknesses?
We have dominated for 90 minutes in football. Only the goals are counting. We were an unlucky team.
Was Van Gaal deflecting criticism away from his underperforming players? Is the real issue their style of play? The critics have been out in force all season, dissecting United's problems in depth, and there are still no clear answers.
In general terms, I think the team is going well. But being Manchester United, we want to win every game. We want to be fighting for every point available. We are now entering a key period of the season, and over the next 3 months, we want to pick up as many points as we can.
The real conundrum is that for all the shortcomings their detractors highlight, Manchester United are still 4th in the table. The defeat in Wales just their 2nd in 20 games in all competitions. And with no European competition to sap their energy, United could still be among the strongest finishers, though the players aren't pinning too many hopes on their rivals feeling fatigued.
We are talking about teams that are used to playing on all fronts, big games in Europe and in top leagues. We're playing less games as we're not in Europe, but it's all about concentrating on Manchester United and winning as many games and as many points as possible.
Opponents Sunderland are in trouble, and Gus Poyet's open letter to unhappy supporters doesn't seem to have done much to win them round and ease the pressure. But the players insist they still have faith in the manager's methods.
He believes in the way he wants us to play and the way he wants this team to progress and the vision he's got for us. I think that's what you need in a manager, someone that doesn't, chop and change too much, and then as long as you follow him and you believe in that, hopefully we'll be successful.
But right now, Sunderland are potentially just one heavy defeat from dropping into the bottom 3. The results read 1 league win in 9. They need to find fresh impetus.
When we're not winning games, if we're not playing well enough, you can have a plan, you can have an idea before games, all the tactics are set out, but if you don't perform on the day, then ultimately the players are responsible, and there have been games where we haven't performed well enough. Other games we have performed well, and we maybe have been a bit unlucky not to get more points. But we are where we are in the league, and we'll keep pushing hard.
So far, Sunderland have shared the points in half their 26 league matches, a record at this stage of a Premier League season. Finding a way to see the job through would surely secure their future.
We know where we're trying to go. We're trying to move up the league, and obviously we've had way too many draws this season. That's been the major issue. We haven't been able to turn them into wins, so we'll try and do that the last few games of the season.
Memories of last year's great escape should stand Sunderland in good stead. And if they can cause an upset at Old Trafford, United's progress under Van Gaal will face further scrutiny, with so many still unsure if the club is really heading in the right direction.
Stoke remain on course for their highest Premier League points haul thanks to the last-minute winner at Aston Villa, a club record 5th away victory of the campaign. Manager Mark Hughes must now find a way to improve the Potters' unexpectedly fragile home form. Skipper Ryan Shawcross misses out again with a back injury.
Every game is a different game. It's not an easy game in the Premier League. Every game is difficult. So every game you need to be 100% focused and 100% ready. And that's what we had to do on Saturday first.
Back-to-back wins have given Hull some breathing space, now 4 points above the relegation places. Manager Steve Bruce looks to have pulled a rabbit out of the hat. Striker Daman Doy's late winner was his 2nd goal in 2 starts since arriving from Lokomotiv Moscow. The Tigers go in search of 3 consecutive league victories for the first time in more than 2 years.
It's not the place to be getting ahead of ourselves yet. You know what I mean? We're not too far over by any means, but we'll keep on going. You know what I mean? We won't get complacent, and we'll keep on working hard and playing the way we are, and hopefully we can string a few more results together and keep on climbing.
Hull are yet to win in the Premier League at Stoke, with a draw and 2 defeats from their trips to the Britannia. If they can turn that around this weekend and secure that hat-trick of victories, it will be a huge boost to Bruce's hopes of survival.
Burnley's equaliser against Chelsea may have been worth just a point, but in terms of confidence, the draw with the leaders was priceless. Sean Dyche will hope that performance can inspire a first league win in 6. Ashley Barnes is available, the FA confirming they'll take no further action for the striker's role in Nemanja Matic's sending off at Stamford Bridge.
And I think the last 3 games particularly have been very high standard. And yet, you know, we've got a couple of points out of them 3 games, and nature of the Premier League, very, very tough level and very tough to win. Next one comes, we'll be ready for it for sure, no guarantees, but we're in good shape. We're in good shape mentally and physically, and we'll be ready to go, that's for sure.
Swansea will be confident too, having secured that memorable first league double over Manchester United. But Gary Monk won't be getting carried away. It was only his team's second win in 8 league games. Another would be significant, as that would carry the Swans to the milestone 40-point mark earlier than they've ever managed it in their Premier League history.
We're in an extremely tough game at the weekend. It's not going to be easy at all, but the motivation and the drive has to be for that outcome, you know, and we have to do all we can to try and make sure that we get that outcome. But I said at the start of the season to the boys, it will never be easy. It's never going to be easy, but hopefully we can get there sooner rather than later.
These two have only met once in the Premier League, in the second game earlier this season. Riding high from their victory at Old Trafford, Swansea ran out 1-0 winners. And fresh from upsetting Louis van Gaal again, they'll start favourites this weekend.
One thing I can guarantee them fans out there on Saturday, that some players might not play that well. You know, that happens. That's the nature of it. But not one of them will not give 100% for the cause. The club are where they are for a reason. You know, it hasn't performed. And we need to turn that around as quickly as possible. I will try and make them players play with no fear. I don't want them to be scared of losing football matches. You know, I'm just dreaming about that long walk back after the game, having got 3 points in the bag.
Aston Villa hoping to give their long-suffering fans something to cheer about today. Can Tim Sherwood provide a breath of fresh air and a team that scores goals? Scott Sinclair scores! That's more like it for Aston Villa, and they will be hoping this is a sign of things to come under Tim Sherwood. And Stoke answer back. Brought it down. Penalty. It's stoppage time for Stoke. It's Moses. Stoke City appear to have snatched a victory here.
Another collapse. Confidence shattered again. Aston Villa's 6th successive league defeat. More disappointment on Tim Sherwood's debut.
To lose the game so late on, you know, anyone can make an individual error. You know, it's just unfortunately when you're at the bottom of the league, you get punished for mistakes. But you know, you just got to get on with it. That's gone now. You know, I have to look at the negatives out of that and take some positives, and hope we can improve. And I'm sure that the more time I get with the group, the more I get to know about them, then the performances will improve.
One positive, at least the villains are scoring again. Scott Sinclair's strike was their 3rd in 2 games. A small silver lining to some threatening clouds. They're without a league victory in 11 matches and dropped to 19th after losing to Stoke. As for this trip to Newcastle, Villa haven't won at St James's Park in 9 years. But with 12 games left, Sherwood has to convince his men to perform.
A win at any stage now, you know, as sooner we can get that, the better. It'll be a shot in the arm for everyone, you know, that confidence which is needed. You know, if you look around the squad, you can see that there is quality here. You know, but sometimes it takes a little bit more than that. It takes a lot of confidence. You know, they won 5 games of football all season, you know, so, you know, we need to win 6 to stay in the division with not many games left. So the reality has to kick in that, you know, we're in a dogfight here, and we need points as soon as possible.
At Newcastle, head coach John Carver needs points as soon as possible too. He was tasked with a top 10 finish. The Magpies are 11th, having just been thrashed by the champions, a result which did little for Carver's long-term prospects at the club. He's won just one of his 8 games in charge. And it gets no easier. Newcastle play Manchester United, Arsenal and Liverpool in their next 6 matches.
We've got some tough games coming up, so it is important, and we do know there's a little bit of pressure on, but good players can deal with pressure, and we've got to handle it. I'm not giving up on anything. You know, you've got to go for as high as you can, and if you don't do that, you've got no ambition, and that's certainly not the case with regard to the players and myself. We want to go for as high up that league as we can, and we'll endeavour to do that.
This home game should offer him some hope. Newcastle have only lost twice to Villa in 20 Premier League meetings at St James's Park. Last season, the Magpies got an injury-time winner. Sherwood's already experienced one of those last-gasp killer blows. Neither the relegation-threatened club nor the new boss can really afford a second disappointment.
While Chelsea and Spurs have Sunday's League Cup final to look forward to, there's still plenty to enjoy in the Premier League, including a London derby at Upton Park and very tricky away trips for strugglers Sunderland, Aston Villa and Hull. All an appetiser for the big one at Anfield on Sunday, where Liverpool take on Manchester City, while Arsenal-Everton should be an entertaining weekend finale.
We finish with the focus firmly on Anfield, where last April Liverpool and Manchester City gave us a classic. Merseyside Reds and Manchester Blues were title rivals and played out 90 minutes of pure theatre. Though Liverpool won the battle, City claimed the war with a second crown in 3 campaigns. This season, the champions arrive with their title defence on the line and the home team in dazzling form. The stage set for more drama. Join us again next time. For now, from Dave Beckett, me, Izzy Clark and the rest of the Preview team, goodbye.